pushing us live right now. Let's just go right into it.
Boom! We are live. We were having some issues on our streaming service, but we are now live. Thank you to everyone hanging out. Sorry for that delay. Dennis, how you doing this morning?
We're doing good. I think we're up here. I'm just trying to see that we are indeed streaming, waiting for the StreamYard to come in. And yes, indeed, we're up. We're going to skip the intro. We're going to skip, the little, we're going to skip everything here. We're going to get Joel back on here in a second, too, because he's trying to do a workaround in the background. But we are up and we are live. StreamYard is back. I emailed them immediately. So it's funny. We're prepping for the PreMarket Prep show. We're ready to go. And then at 7:59, bang, everything froze. And I was like, is my internet down? And AB thought, is my internet down? And Joel thought, I think my computer froze. I'm like, nope, it's just StreamYard. And then I went on and just searching on Twitter and multiple people complaining that StreamYard was down. So StreamYard is how we stream the show to YouTube. So without that, it's hard for us to do. But this is a good test so we can get a workaround for this if this ever happens again. Joel, we are up. StreamYard is up. It looks like we are good. Crisis averted.
I was scrambling, man. I was scrambling. I thought it was because I opened something up. So, okay. So let's do a reset. All right. Let me, guess we won't do an intro.
No intro.
Okay.
But we can do our normal rundown here. Show your charts, Joel. We're all kind of not in our zone here. Even my hair is messed up today because of this. Show your charts.
We're finished.
Christian's going to be with us momentarily as well. So Joel's going to show us charts, let us know what the markets are doing. We're leaking a little bit ahead of the CPI, and this is CPI day.
Kind of a choppy close. We're down 10 3/4 handles. Haven't taken out yesterday's low, just flirting with the 6K level. You have the buck traded down a dime at 105.85. TLT up 31 cents after a red day yesterday, just under 91. USO up 29 cents. Just another quiet day, it looks like. GLD up $1.05, 241.10. Silver ETF up 6 cents, 28.13. And Bitcoin, after just a crazy couple days, taking a little breather. Bitcoin, that's down $1,680 at 88,420. So here we go, AB. You got the lineup there for us. Let's get us started. If not,
let's welcome Christian in. Christian is here now, too. We all thought our internet went down, but it was none of our internets. It was StreamYard. And StreamYard, pretty good service. They got it back really fast. I mean, they were only down 9 minutes, and they rarely ever go down. So props to StreamYard. I emailed them about 5 minutes ago. I'm sure there was a lot of emails. So they got it back up and running here. So must have had a server crash or something. So props to them. Christian, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah. Isn't technology fun? Yeah.
Sometimes.
Pretty good. We got a big report coming up in 15 minutes. We'll see if it's a big report. We'll see if the market has kind of shifted its focus away from that. So I'll be watching that. And I think just a little bit of short-term support to kind of watch too, depending on how this number comes in. But just real quick, just more quick market summary from yesterday. Finally got a little bit of profit taking yesterday. One of the things that I caught early was that just breadth was very poor yesterday. I was watching things like the tick index, which was kind of trending lower. So first time that we've seen that since Wednesday, since post election day. So I thought that was interesting yesterday.
Everything was interesting yesterday. I mean, this market here, Christian, is still full of rotation. And I mean, we saw even yesterday with Tesla's weakness, mega cap tech showed a lot of strength. Meta had a great day. Meta had a great morning, I should say. It didn't end up great. Microsoft, was up yesterday. It's funny how these stocks just seem to move opposite. Last night, for instance, even Tesla was trading down most of the evening, was down about $10. And Microsoft and a lot of the mega cap techs was trading up. As soon as I saw Tesla had reversed overnight when I woke up, I was like, I bet you Microsoft's trading down now. And indeed, it's turned and went red. Why do you think, the negative correlation? Like, I think it's ETF effects, but is there anything more to this? Like why we're seeing, Tesla basically versus the other stocks here right now, the other mega cap names?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's still this, to call it what it is. I mean, it's still this Trump trade. that's going on. And, as there's new announcements about like how Elon's going to be involved and so forth, Tesla's still moving on this. And, maybe it's starting to get maybe a little bit diminishing because, yeah, I think I'm not sure where Tesla closed last night, but I see it up a little bit. And so I guess it's starting to get like marginal, a little bit of marginal returns because it's a big announcement yesterday. So the stock is up, but it's still, I think the high was right around like 360-ish, 359 or so. So yeah, it's getting a little bit of a bump this morning, but not as big of a bump as, previous announcements. So maybe that's starting to kind of fade a little bit, but you're still getting those tremors based on announcements.
And last night, the announcement Christian's talking about is Elon Musk, and I butcher this name, but Vivek Ramaswamy. Did I say that okay, AB? Did I kind of get it right?
Perfect.
Vivek
Vivek
Ramaswamy. Vivek
Well-
Ramaswamy.
Say it fast 10 times.
Vivek
Vivek
Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy.
Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy.
I was joking.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
So Musk and Ramaswamy announced last night will lead new Department of Government efficiency in the Trump administration. Tesla did start popping up a little bit on this. Also, Ramaswamy, I believe an activist in BuzzFeed, that stock was actually trading down on earnings, and it turned around and went green too. And a full disclosure, I have a small position on it still in Zebra FD. Was trading last night. It's just a day trading position. But you can see if you go to Tesla last night, even Tesla, the overnight chart, if you want, Joel, you can actually see it.
Okay.
Just when it was announced, Tesla was trading down, and you can see the pop up there. Well, trying to grab, I get confused on your bars here. So we're looking at last night's trading action.
Last night, yeah. This is the 4 a.m. right here.
Yeah. So it popped up right
4.
near the close and then continued into the 4 a.m. hour. You can see it there.
Yeah.
And ignore that 8 a.m. bar there. That's at the end there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You got to, it looked like at the upper right chart here, any way you want to call it here, you fill one gap. You got to fill this really for a healthy move. You got to fill this gap here from 257 and change to 280. That's what you got to fill. When you come back down, we'll drift back down, fill that gap, build a little base. I don't know about filling this gap here, but 2 major gaps to fill in Tesla. So started to filled one, 2 more to go.
Okay, and we just had an ad. Everybody had an ad, so I don't know if Josh did a reset or something. Josh, if you're in the background, can you make sure YouTube ads are turned off as much as they possibly can? There's nothing we can do about the first one, but we can shut them off in the middle. So we apologize for the ad. It hadn't been happening, but I think when we were trying to reset everything, it's possible that got reset here. So if Josh, and I'll email him just to make sure.
Yeah, I might be able to do it, but I just don't want to blow up the whole show.
I'm gonna message Josh. You guys take the show for a second to make sure we have no ads.
All right, let's do some earnings reports. We did have a few different companies report earnings yesterday. Let's start with Spotify, which reported yesterday after the close. Spotify reported an EPS of $1.59 that missed the $1.84 estimate. Sales came in at $4.38 billion. That beat the $4.31 billion estimate. They gave some strong forward guidance, which is helping the stock. So Spotify is trading higher this morning by $35.50 or 8.5%. Big move for Spotify.
Will you read that? Here. Yeah, read that report again, because I saw a miss, and a miss.
On Spotify?
I have a EPS of $1.59, which missed the $1.84. Sales 4.38, beat the 4.31.
Okay.
And then the guidance, let's see.
I'm trying to grab it here too.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
With the caught the report, or what was really strong about the report is the subscriber growth. And also the margins on this. So both of those were very good. Especially when you're looking at a company like Spotify, when it's growing its subscriber base, it's got a bigger pie that's dealing with. So sometimes in my opinion, the EPS takes a little bit of a backseat. I think the growth there.
We're gonna put Christian. This is technical difficulty Wednesday. Apparently, your internet's breaking up substantially there, Christian. So maybe you can work on that just in the background. But what Christian's saying is something that he actually tweeted out. I'm just looking at his own tweets, and I just retweeted it here now. Spotify third quarter total premium subscribers 252 million versus 250 million estimates, so substantially higher than estimates there. And to Christian's point, which is a great one, these subscription services often don't trade on earnings, they trade on subscriber metrics. So when you see those subscriber metrics blowing it away like they did, it's not surprising that Spotify gets the pop that it has.
Okay, let's do the technicals here. You pipe all the way to 465. That's correct here. You're trading at 455, so $10 off the high. Uncharted territory, I would just use that target, that initial spike at 465 as a target. The longer it takes to get up there, maybe you get a little bit of a fade in it. Since making that 465 high, you found some minor support at 445, but man, oh man, what about back? Oh, look at that monthly chart. Just what a March here. And just think how they're going to do next quarter, because we're gonna the real pre-market prep's going to be on spot.
We're on there right now, yeah. We just got back on there. We're on there right now, so that'll show up in next quarter's results. We got the pre-market prep pop for them here. Christian, I think, has got his stuff fixed here, hopefully here. AB in the background here as well. I don't know, we're having some technical issues here today. We apologize here once again. I want to go to the story of probably the day. It's going to be Spirit Airlines. You're going to hear a lot about this. SAVE plunging. There's a report, and I'm not sure who broke this report. I think it was the Wall Street Journal, but there's a report that they are indeed preparing for bankruptcy. So it looks like there's going to be no deal. There was kind of, hopes that somebody, Frontier, JetBlue, somebody would come in, bail them out. It looks like those hopes are not going to come to fruition here, because the report, and WSJ is pretty good at this, is that it looks like Spirit Air, SAVE, is actually preparing for bankruptcy.
Well, didn't this happen again before?
Rumors. We never had that they were talking about, and they're saying Spirit's bankruptcy could occur within weeks, according to the Wall Street Journal. So it sounds like it's more imminent now, as opposed to we still had hopes of a deal. But yes, Joel, their bankruptcy talks were back in October when the stock gapped down, and then we had hopes, I believe it was Frontier that was going to come in, maybe save the day. That obviously propelled the stock from $1.50 to $3.50. It doesn't look that good, though. Unless the memesters come to the rescue here, it doesn't look good for Save.
Okay, because I remember after that news came out back in October. Let me get my data window up, and I was thinking, man, I should take a poke at this thing. What does the most I could lose is $1. That was October 4th. I mean, they're just. And I'm looking. I don't know how much the difference. I mean, you might be right. Spirit Airlines chatter has critics blaming Biden, Wall Street, Spirit Airlines. Okay, are trading lower reports suggesting the company is exploring the potential filings. So now they're officially doing it. All I would say is if you
official, no, definitely not officially doing. It's still just rumors here. Yes,
yeah.
So it's not official yet.
If you got jammed here, shorting this 250 to 350, and you're waiting for the other $1.23, then go ahead, do it. But man, it's just the way this market is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Trump will throw him a lifeline or something. I don't know, but doesn't look good. Traded under $2. It worked last time to do it. Don't know if it will work this time to do it. Traded down $1.24. Of course, when you go short at these levels, you know what your reward is. It's $1.23, and you know what your risk is.
Yeah, the risk is the deal comes back on the table. There is repercussions. The last time this happened back in October, the other airlines got a pop. And we saw that last night happen, where everybody was buying the other airlines. UAL got a pop, Delta got a pop, LUV got a pop, American Airlines got a pop last night on this report. Those pops have faded. So interesting that, there's not a lot of follow through here. And if we're just looking at the trades, obviously, we haven't even had a regular session yet. Last time the stocks, the other airlines popped. This time they've popped, but they've given most of it back. So that's interesting in itself here too. Christian, you got any thoughts on the airlines?
Is anybody going to save? I guess
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see if somebody does come in at this point, and it's in the hands of regulators, which that's not a very comfortable place to be in. Regarding the airlines, just I think the group is strong, just not this particular one. And yeah, I mean, I think Joel's got United Airlines up there, and Delta's the other really strong
Been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been so those are lifting off, and other ones are
Ooh, the puns today.
Yeah, so that's too easy with the airlines. And the other one's coming in for a landing, I guess. So
oh my gosh, Christian's full. That's 3 for 3.
no.
That's horrible. That's my one for the day. That's it.
What about Boeing? Boeing has been out of the news. What about Boeing here?
Well, we just wait for the next headline, Joel. We just wait for the next headline. But I mean, stock is still sitting near the lows. And again, to the tale of two markets, and we got CPI, so we'll just talk this for 1 minute here. To the tale of two markets, because you have some stocks going straight up and some stocks going straight down. I mean, have you seen Moderna? Have you seen Moderna? Just to talk about, like, Boeing sitting at 52-week lows. A lot of the solar stocks still breaking down new 52-week lows. But, we talk about Trump trades. Moderna's probably the anti-Trump trade because, obviously he wasn't a fan of the vaxes. We know that Moderna, vax company here, it's been straight down since Trump got elected. So, you can just see it in the charts. And, I was sleeping on this one and didn't think about it, but definitely not a Trump stock. And it's went from 60, it was 60, 50, $56 down to 43 here now. This stock just doesn't stop selling off. It's unbelievable the turnaround that this thing has had from bliss to absolute piss here. And Moderna, I don't know what turns this around.
When did Jim Tassoni give us the short on this?
Did he? Was he what? This was
Remember?
one of his shorts? The Jim Tassoni guy's pretty good. We got to bring him back.
Yeah, we are. We got he's been
we got him lined up.
Get him back on. No, we're just getting redoing the schedules and everything. But I know I think he gave us this thing around 85.90. He was shorted. I don't know. He might be long gone on it, but yeah, Moderna 43.30. Do we want to? Well, let's get to the CPI stuff here.
I'm going wide right now.
So they're expecting the numbers that they're expecting, which I think is going to be interesting because I'm kind of thinking they might come in a little hot, but they're expecting a 0.2 for the month over month. When you look at the core, the ex-food and energy, they're looking, this is just estimates because we got a minute to go. It's 0.3. And of course, the year over year, which is just a compilation of the last 12 plus the new, is they're looking for a 2.6. So I'm afraid they might come in a little hot here. So we'll see. Anybody else have an opinion with 30 seconds to go?
Year-over-year comparisons coming down a little bit. I mean, it's going to be a little bit tougher in comparison. So, AB, what's your take on this? And then I'll give you the price action.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that the expectation is for inflation to actually go up year over year to 2.6%, like Christian mentioned. I do think gas prices have ticked higher a tiny bit over the past, couple months or so, which will probably impact that. Of course, that's not in the core. All right, we're coming up here on the numbers. I'll read them as soon as we get them. And then we got our man Blu Putnam hanging out backstage to help us break down these numbers.
In line.
They love it. They love it. They're loving it. They're loving it. We're going green. We did go green for a second here. Look at it to see what happens at 60.13. That is your second all-time closing high. Catching a bid there. We're up above the close. Limited resistance here. Your next daily high comes in at 36.50. That was your high from yesterday. We are now steadily climbing in the 60-20 handle. Really no check back yet, just lifting offers into the 60-24 is your print. Bids, buyers still dominating the market here. 60-25, 60-30. I don't know if we got the gas to do it. Way off that pre-market low. All-time closing. I didn't even get to print my sheet up. So the second all-time closing high is 25.25. Since we traded through that so much, it's only a minor number. But right now, that's where we're at. Christian, what's your take on the inline numbers?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps people were fearing what I was fearing, was that the number was going to come in hot, because an inline number, this is come right on the screws here. Zero point 0.2 versus 0.2 expectations. CPI ex food and energy month over month 0.3 versus 0.3, and the year over year number is exactly in line with expectations too, 2.6 versus 2.6. So why is the market rallying on this? Probably because of what I just said, is that, there was some feeling that maybe the number might come in a little bit hot. So inline is the new down, and the market is going as really liking this, as you just went through all those numbers, Joel. Thanks.
All right, let's go ahead and bring Blue on to hear his thoughts about this inline CPI number. I don't think I've ever seen a report where every single number was exactly what the estimates were. Let's see what Blue is thinking about this. Let's go ahead and give him our special pre-market prep welcome and catch up with Mr. Putnam when we get back.
Okay, we know Blu Putnam, a former chief economist over there at the CME Group, a frequent contributor to Pre-Market Prep. Blue, I never get to give you a call and tell you, man, we're over here on premarketprep.com right now. This is official. So we are over here now, been talking to you about it for a while. Of course, you do your excellent slides here. Of course, I don't present them as nicely as you put them together here. But let's just rip through these slides. I have Pre-Market Prep's chief economist on with us. Let me introduce you to Christian Fromhertz. He is our economics guy. So go ahead, talk about the number, and then let's go through the slides.
Well, the number is exactly as you said. It's in line with expectations. Amazingly in line, since economists aren't that good. So we'll take it. But it still suggests that we're stuck at this 2.5%, 2.6. We're below 3, but we're not at 2. So we've approached the Fed's target, but we're not getting there. We're kind of stuck in this range. And if you look at you look at the core CPI, that was 0.3. You annualize that, that's over 3.5. That's between 3.5 and 4. If you annualize 0.2, if it were to occur for the next 12 months, that's 2.5 or more, slightly more. So we're at 2.5, maybe 2.7, 2.6, like it came in, but we're not at 2, and the progress is largely slowed down. So that that's really where we are, and of course the economic data has been relatively bullish, and the political implications have been bullish. So the bottom line is that interest rate, the 10-year has moved up in yield, and expectations about how low Fed funds rates might go in 2025, they're higher now than they were a month ago.
So going to the first slide here, you see the range 3 to 4 here, 3.77 at the end of 2025. So am I jumping the gun here by saying you don't think we're just going to stay in this range and muddle around and really not go anywhere? I mean, everyone's looking for all these major cuts. Is that the correct assumption here from this chart?
No, I mean, we've had a pretty big shift in expectations. It started before the election and it continued after the election about where the Fed funds rate might, where the terminal rate might end up. And, you go back even just 2 or 3 months and we were below 3, and now we're, closer to 4. So we're getting, the expectation is for a lot fewer rate cuts in 2025.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Moving on to the 10-year Treasury yield here through November 8th, right? Boom, bumping up here. That long end, that's kind of confirming a little bit higher for longer, huh?
Oh, yeah. Like even after this number, we're trading at 4.38 on the 10-year. It's we're up at what I would call the higher end of the range. And of course, we can go over that range. We've done it once. We can do it again. But that range suggests that there's no recession and that inflation pressures stick more in the 2.5 to 3, and they don't go all the way down to 2.
All right. Everyone talks about the yield curve here and That doesn't look like much of a curve there. Fed funds 4.58, 2-year 4.34, 10-year 4.42. Boy, oh boy, is that a flat yield curve or is that a flat yield curve?
That's pretty flat. And again, you only have to go back 3 or 4 months, and it was a very different slope on the front end when the Fed funds was 5.3 and the 2-year was higher and so forth. But what this suggests is that the market is really, as the Fed funds rate comes down, you may not get any rally or much change in the 10-year. Okay, so the Fed is the lagging agent here. They're behind the curve. They probably just want to get Fed funds rates a little bit above inflation and a little bit below the 10-year, and they can do that with 3 or 4 more moves, and then that's it. So the yield curve is quite flat, and it will probably go a little flatter, but that's the short end coming down, not the long end.
All right, headline CPI through September. What a beautiful looking chart here. Still,
Yeah, well, now we're at 2.6. This is going to tick back up when I print it tomorrow or later today.
uh-oh. Is that
And
just
so
a
we're
temporary blip, or you think?
no, it's a blip. But what you're seeing here is that we came down to 3% and then we've gotten stuck. Progress is really hard from here. I think we are comfortably now below 3, but we're not going to 2.
So hey Blue, how you doing? So stubborn, I would say, is probably the word to kind of classify this, because it's just not getting down to that 2% level that the Fed wants to see, right?
Yeah, stubborn's a great word for it. The issue is services versus goods. There's a virtually no inflation in the goods market, and there's still 4% inflation in the services, maybe a little higher, of which a chunk of that, of course, is in shelter. So you've got a very split market, but we're 2/3 a service economy. So the fact that goods inflation is close to 0 doesn't get us to 2 anymore.
Will the Fed, will the Fed relent on that? I mean, new administration, Trump wants to throw him out. He says he's not quitting. I mean, yeah, you and I have been saying that for a long time. You think that's something that says like, hey, we've kind of thrown in the towel here, or, I mean, doesn't seem like he's going to be doing that. And then
Oh,
let's just
no.
no,
I
they're
mean,
not.
Powell's staying until the end of his term. He's made that perfectly clear. That's the spring of 2026. So he's going to be around all next year to guide the Fed. But I think, they're likely to want to take several victory laps here, even if they don't get to 2%. 2.5 is close enough to, lower rates like they're doing. You just can't lower them as much as the market might have thought a couple of months ago. So the big issues for inflation are all the things that are coming into the future. I mean, we really don't know. We know that the new Trump administration is going to be very aggressive on raising tariffs, but we don't know how fast that's going to happen. And we don't know which countries will be well, we know China will be impacted more than others, but we don't really know how it's going to be applied. Most economists have been talking about tariffs being inflationary. That's probably true in the long run. That is, if you compare a high tariff country to a low tariff country, the high tariff country is going to have a little more inflation. However, the issue is the transition. As you go from lower tariffs to higher tariffs, what happens? Well, you get a lot of reciprocal tit for tat from other countries, and that disrupts supply chains. And that is not inflationary. That's a short-term recessionary type of event if you get supply chains seriously disrupted. So I would be very, very careful with the forecast that tariffs equal higher inflation. In the long run, absolutely. I think it was John Maynard Keynes that said something like we're dead in the long run. So, I'm a little more focused on the short run here. And I'm not sure if we get a lot of reciprocal taxes from other countries, tariffs, whether that will lead to a little bit of a disruption of global trade and a disruption of global growth. And that would actually push goods prices down even a little more.
PK here wants me to ask you about the strong dollar in the long bonds.
Yes. The strong dollar has actually three things going for it right now. One is the expectations of short-term rates in the U.S. have ticked up, so that helps the dollar. So we've seen that. That was partly happening before the election and definitely was spurred on by the election. So there's an election component here, and there's also the no landing economy. Another thing that's going on is that there's more turmoil politically in Europe. Germany's going to have elections. The U.S. is not the only country that's interested in more protectionism, anti-immigration, things like that. It's spread around the world. So as Europe becomes less politically stable, there's no really strong leader in Europe like there used to be. That's a little bit of a discount, if you will, for the euro. So the euro has ticked down a little bit. So yes, we've seen a strong dollar, but it's not 100% U.S. and it's not 100% the election. So we'll give it 1/3 stronger economy, 1/3 election, and 1/3 European weakness, political weakness, higher risk.
All right, you mentioned the shelter component of inflation through September. You'll have to adjust the chart for tomorrow. What was this component for October? I was too busy looking at the S&Ps.
Well, this is the owner equivalent rent problem that we all know about. Shelter is not measured properly in the CPI. I'm pretty sure that everybody and my dog has pretty much digested that. However, if you take it out, you're down to 1%. I wouldn't take it out, however, because shelter inflation, it may not be running at 5%, but it's probably running closer to 3.5 to 4. So it's still raising the inflation rate. So be careful with this one. But we're definitely overestimating shelter, at least right now.
All right. So really not much of a difference here, excluding owner equivalent rate, OER, right there at 1%. Jobs. Let's talk about jobs. New unemployment claims, keys. The government, they wanted to slow down the economy. Unemployment is ticking up here. Look at us. Talk to us about the weekly new unemployment claims and the trend that you're looking at here.
Well, the main point of this chart on weekly new unemployment claims is that nothing's happening. We had a little blip up because of Hurricanes Helene, Milton, and the Boeing strike, and those are all fading into the past. So there's no indication here that there's any unusual activity on the unemployment side. We had to take a break from analyzing the payroll jobs number because the number was very weak for October, but again, that was 2 hurricanes and a big strike, all of which have gone away. So we'll see when we get the next jobs data for payrolls. We're going to see it tick back up. We'll be on some kind of trend somewhere between maybe 150,000 new jobs a month. But this is all consistent with a no landing economy. So nothing unusual here. We'll be watching it carefully, but nothing special has been happening.
All right, so December, steady as she goes, another quarter, and then give us your expectations for 2025. And then if Christian has anything else for you, or Dennis is going to pop back on. If not, we'll let you go after this.
I was just going to ask about, so today we have the CPI, tomorrow's the PPI, and then on Friday we get the retail sales, which they're estimating 0.3. I think the retail sales have been were strong last month. Do you think that that's a trend that's going to continue?
Yes, I think we'll have pretty good retail sales. I mean, the issue here, by the way, the retail sales number is mostly goods. It's got a few services in it, like if you go to a restaurant or a bar. But basically, it's more the goods side, and then we'll get consumption expenditures later in the month when the PCE comes out. But anyway, as long as you've got your job, you can continue to spend money. So to me, the jobs market tells me that the retail sales and later in the month, the consumption expenditures are going to be on trend. Now, they are slower than last year because we had some post-pandemic recovery going on. That's all done. So the economy is more like a 2% of GDP economy, and the numbers for retail sales consumption should be consistent with that. what we're still waiting on,
Thank
and
you.
we will be waiting on well into 2025, is what the fiscal policy changes that will be coming from the new Trump administration are. Now, we're expecting some kind of extension of the tax reductions that occurred in 2018. We might even get a little more downward on corporate taxes, so that would be good for equities. But lowering taxes has very little effect on GDP and the economy. It's mostly an equity asset phenomena. It's what really matters for GDP and consumption and things like that is how much is the government spending. And we we do expect some restraint in government spending, but we're not sure exactly how that's going to occur. I'm sure the Trump administration isn't sure yet either. It takes a little while to plan that out. So we will learn a lot about that, however, in the summer. June and July is when the debt ceiling will come back as your favorite topic. And when it comes back, Congress will almost certainly raise the debt ceiling, but it may come with constraints on spending. And so that's what we're going to be watching, is whether or not fiscal policy is constraining on the spending side. It's likely to be, accommodating on the tax side, but for me, that doesn't make as much difference for the economy as it does for equities. So we're going to have a lot of fiscal policy analysis next year while we set the Fed aside.
All right, we've been on the line with Blu Putnam, former chief economist and managing director at my old stopping grounds, the CME. Now the chief science officer and head of research for his own firm, spelling out the inflation landscape as good as anyone can. Blu, thank you. You know when you'll be on again next month when we get the more inflation data.
Thanks you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. All right, we're rallying. We're still having a good rally here. Still up 10.5 handles, 60, 30 and a quarter. That's your high. Still not at the high from yesterday. So if you're looking at the S&Ps, you had a lower high. You had the all-time high that was made on Monday at 53 and a quarter. You had a lower high yesterday at 36 and a quarter. I don't want to see a lower high today, a lower high than Tuesday's high. That would just mean that a little bit of pressure, a little bit of selling into strength into the market, but too
Hey
early
guys,
to tell.
So I told one bad joke earlier. I'm going to go for another bad one too. So big difference between a couple of these rocket companies. One is taking off, going ballistic to the upside, and there's another one that's going down has fallen and has basically crashed. So the two that I'm referring to. So sorry for that, but RKLB, and then the other one is Rocket RKT. Big difference in what's going on here in these companies that are using the rocket in their name. You guys want to go over some of the earnings of these two names?
Yeah, big difference in their fundamentals too. But it's a good point, a segue into earnings here. I like the segue there, Christian. AB, let's start with Rocket Labs because this is a storied stock, one of the big movers of the day. It's up 24%. I was in this stock for a little while. I rode it from 8 to 12 or 8 to 13, I think, and was pretty proud of myself. And now I'm looking like I sold right at the spot I shouldn't have sold because it continues to go higher here. RKLB, how were the earnings there, AB?
Yeah, so reported an EPS of a loss of 10 cents that beat the estimate by 1 cent there. Revenue of 104.8 million, beat by 2.42 million. So a slight beat on both EPS and sales. Let's see, the Q4 revenue came in at 125, or they see Q4 revenue, the guidance, 125 to 135 million, which was above expectations. So with the strong guidance, stock is up 25%. Big move here for Rocket Labs.
Lunar, ASTS, sympathy trades. I'm still in the Lunar. I haven't sold any shares of that one yet. I believe it reports tomorrow night, so that'll be interesting as well too. I was in both these, and I was like, and the reason I was in RKLB, thanks to Zozo Trader again here, who brought it to me when I brought Lunar. He's like, why not buy Rocket Labs too? I was like, sure, I'll buy that one too. And I'm along all these Go to the moon stocks, RKLB. So big moves here in all these stocks, and obviously ASTS being the other one here. They're storied stocks. I mean, this is a retail-driven market here right now, and we're definitely seeing retail drive the bus in a lot of names, and that's what continues to happen here in RKLB.
Yeah.
All right.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I just want to, we really blasted off on this one. We got all the way to 2046. All-time high is even better than that. That's 2134. But you have the leakage going on here. So I'm going to say, I don't know. We're going to have some problems perhaps getting back up to that level. 19, look at that as a level. Maybe if you want to sell, unless you think this thing's going to, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe lay some, a little bit at 19, see if you get lifted, a little bit of 19 and a half, you get lifted, a little bit of 20, a little bit more at 20 and a half, if you're looking to do it. The longer it takes for me, to even get over 19, I'd look for a little bit of a check back. Don't think you'll see the bottom of yesterday's range. That comes in at 1502. What hit Rocket? Boy, that thing has got come off hard since being over $20.
Yeah, that's earnings. So RKT did report earnings here as well. AB will give us those numbers here. Stock has been leaking. And you know what's really hitting it, Joel? It's long-term rates. TLT, RKT, linked at the hip. It topped. So let's just go and just prove our theory. September the 18th was the high in RKT. When did the TLT pop? September the 17th, the TLT high. So, I mean, it's right there. And you can see clearly on the charts, nobody cares more about long-term rates than, a company like Rocket. RKT, that is.
Yeah, so for Rocket companies, the EPS came in line at 8 cents. Adjusted revenue of 1.32 billion, beat by 30 million there. But the guidance for Q4, the Rocket said they see revenue coming in at 1.05 to 1.2 billion. The consensus was 1.36 billion. So soft revenue guidance for Q4 there. Stock is down about 7.5%. It was down even more earlier, so it's come back a tiny bit here this morning.
But I'm seeing a cluster of lows in the lower 13 handle. Now you would have had to been out there on the first spike down because we did go to 13.11, but now you're $1.20 away from that level. Nice green bar on the last couple brackets here. So like to see it down here in the this area of the multiple lows. That's where the big boy stepped up. But the fact that you got the nice pop off the off that low, boom, boom, boom. And of course, what you moves with this UWMC, right? United Wholesale Mortgage. That's trying to hold $6 here. And I'll tell you one thing about Rocket. I know the stock's going down, but have you seen the Cleveland Cavaliers? Have you seen their record?
Yeah,
I know I got to
pretty
bring
good.
sports. They're undefeated. They're undefeated. They're like 15-0. It's the greatest start since the Dubs in like 2015, 2016. So the reason I mentioned that, Danny Gilbert, who owns Rocket Companies, also owns the Cavaliers. And UWMC is Matt Ishbia, and he's owner of the Phoenix Suns. That's your sports tidbit for the day.
What's the previous record? How many games?
I don't know what the record is for how many games in a row to
I think
start.
we gotta
they're
be getting
10-0
close.
right now.
Yeah.
The Cavs. The record for most wins in a row for the NBA was set by the Heat when LeBron, Wade, and Bosh were all there. I think it was like 25 games in a row or something. But all right, let's do one more earnings report before our next guest comes on the stream. Let's do Cava real quick. So Cava Group, of course, the Mediterranean Chipotle reported an EPS of 15 cents that beat by 4 cents, revenue of 243.8 million, beat by 10 million there. Let's see on the guidance there. I'm not seeing anything specific on the guidance. Same restaurant sales growth. They raised from 8.5% to 9.5% to 12 to 13%. So sounds like some strong growth happening over there at Cava. Stock is up 17% or $25 this morning. It was up even a little bit more, Joel, right?
Yeah, I'll let you guys handle this one. We got to 172.65. So
Right
I'll let,
there.
yeah.
Retail driven name here. So I think what you need to do if you're trading, and sometimes it's got to take a step back and analyze, and group your stocks together. The storied stocks, the retail driven names are really hot right now, and they continue to be hot. I don't see that changing. Maybe it changes, but right now, the environment that we're in, like even look to a firm, you know this, Christian, you can speak to this. The earnings disappointed. They couldn't stop themselves after one day of being down. They bought that thing back up and just ripped it higher. I mean, the retail driven names and the storied stocks, the stocks that are talked about relentlessly in social media, those ones continue to, just outperform here. That's the type of market we're in right now. That may change. But right now, it's like mega cap tech. It's like, yeah, just meandering, hanging out. Some of, your value names are continuing to leak. Stocks that are just not like continue to leak. And then you just got storied stocks that social media has grabbed, that love, that keep going. Your Rocket Labs and Tesla, and then Upstart and Affirm were going. Obviously Upstart got a little ahead of itself. And so I think you'd cluster this Cava into the same type of thing. So until we get, retail, burn, where you get a significant pullback in a lot of names, which we got a little bit yesterday, but they're bouncing them right back here again. You got to have your stocks grouped and know if this is like a retail love name or an institutional name, because the institutional names are not performing like the retail names right now.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. And like I said yesterday, it was the first day since the post-election rally that the breath was not very good, and it makes you think like, okay, there's going to be some, there could be some more profit taking, right? And then you get some of these earnings reports that come out, and so it's not just about, I know that there's, everybody's talking about that Trump trade that's out there, but some of these names, and yes, Dennis makes a great point. These are retail type names that retail is in love with some of these stories, but they're coming out and they're beating earnings expectations. And Spotify, Cava, Rocket Lab. So it makes you, makes you think that, hey, there's a little bit more too. I would think, okay, like this move that we saw over the last week might be kind of getting long in the tooth, as we talked a little bit yesterday about the meme rally. And I think it was due for a little bit of profit taking in some of those names. But, the numbers that are coming out with some of these names, and again, it's not every name that's reporting these types of numbers, as we went over with like Rocket Mortgage, and there's certainly a number of names going down too. I think the semis are having another day that's could be, by the way, the semis could be 4 down days in a row, which I don't know when we've seen the semiconductors down four days in a row, but there's still these strong earnings reports that are creating those animal spirits in stocks right now. And I think if we didn't have that, then you might see more profit taking. But how can how could you not get somewhat excited about what you're seeing when, a Spotify and a Cava break through their estimates for, what their monthly numbers are supposed to be. So I find it a very intriguing market, and what the market likes right now versus what it doesn't. And we mentioned a couple names, and like SMC. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
No, tangents we love.
But the unloved stocks are staying unloved. And
yes.
Look at SMCI. They just said today again this morning that they can't put out their reports still.
Oh, it's going to get delisted if they keep this up. Like,
yeah,
this is like playing with fire here right now. Like, what the hell?
What the hell is going on at that company that they can't report their 10Q? So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that there's some really good stories out there. There's still some bad stories, and there's still some separation going on, but it's certainly not all all good, and it's not all bad either.
So we have leaked away most of the gains here now,
Yeah.
just pretty much suddenly, because we were up for a good 20 minutes. In the last 5 to 10 minutes, we just started leaking. And if you bring up the S&Ps here as we go into our second hour, starting to get a little bit sloppy here. Maybe profit taking, but you can see, again, when you get an inline number, the reaction is always a question mark. Like, yes, we can say, okay, well, it wasn't hot and we were worried it was hot, but it wasn't cool either. So, I mean, we can still see IWM holding up fairly well. It was trading in the red, so it is holding up better. But you can clearly see why the S&Ps are starting to leak. And it's the same trade that we have talked about relentlessly. Tesla versus the other stocks. Apple. Microsoft, Meta, Google, all in the red. Amazon is holding green. Netflix, which we haven't talked about, has been relentless.
Let's go to our guest, Dennis. Let's go to our guest. Yep, it's 9
Well, I
a.m.
just want to finish my point, so he's going to come on in 1 second. So Netflix has been relentlessly strong, and that's because of the Tyson fight coming up this weekend. It's running up into that event. But let's go to our guest.
All right, we got Kevin Merritt, Wedbush Wednesday. We went from tech difficulties Wednesday to Wedbush Wednesday. Let's go ahead and bring Kevin on the stream.
All right, we are on the line here with Kevin Merritt, Managing Director, Equity Research, Wedbush Securities. Looking calm, cool, and collected this morning. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Joel. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us early. Now, this gentleman, we had you on before the election, and you just was kind of like not too worried about the election, sticking with some bullish mantra. Well, that's turned out to come to fruition, and we'll let you comment on the effects of the new administration coming in, and then the inflation data, and then we got a whole host of stocks that you want to talk about.
Excellent. Well, thanks for having me. Look, I think it's a constructive outcome for the markets, as we've seen with the price action in the last week. We'll see a lighter regulatory touch. There are a number of industries that will benefit from that. Private prisons have moved substantially in the last week. CoreCivic and Geo are a couple of companies that we follow there. The bank group has had a big move up. I think you could see a substantially lighter regulatory regime there. Perhaps more of an ability to get mergers and acquisitions through. As you know, that's a group that we've been more cautious on for the last couple of years, but we are turning more constructive as we speak, and partly because of the results of the election. On the potentially cautious side, I guess I'll watch what happens with the deficit and rates in the next year, depending on how aggressively we push on the tax front, and whether or not that might serve as a lid on the market. But otherwise, I think there's a lot to be constructive about.
And the inflation data.
It's still, I think it's okay, not great, right? It's certainly a lot better than it was at different points in time in the last 2 years, but it's not taking that last leg down as rapidly as we all would like. And back to the comment a moment ago on rates, the more it stays a bit sticky, the more things will be at least somewhat elevated.
Hey, Kevin, Dennis Dick here. Just want to get your overall thoughts. One, and we've been talking all about this obviously since the election, this separation where certain stocks, obviously the Trump names, relentlessly bid. Other stocks continue to sell off. I mean, solar has been an epic disaster. Obviously, we can talk about stocks like Tesla or the banks but take it to mega cap tech here for a second, because this is the one area where there's a little bit of confusion in the market. When we look at Apple, we look at Microsoft, like the market clearly likes Trump likes Tesla as a Trump stock, but it's like Apple, Amazon kind of going higher, but Google, even Nvidia, I mean, they're lukewarm rallies here right now. One, why do you think that is, that mega cap tech is kind of taking a back seat here right now? And two, do they eventually get back into the front seat?
I think the fact that they're taking a bit of a breather as a group is reflective of just dollars going elsewhere to places that are perceived to be more direct beneficiaries of the new regime. And that makes sense to me directionally, right? And plus, these stocks had been substantial outperformers for a long period of time. So it does make sense to me that they could take a breather. Now, in each of their cases, in most of them, we like them quite a bit. We think the setup is good for Apple into the next couple of years around the AI theme and them being the kind of the key channel on the consumer front. I think you'll continue to see Microsoft execute well on the cloud and AI fronts. The NVIDIA story remains strong. I still think you'll see a CapEx arms race of sorts, of which they're the primary beneficiary. And in the case of Amazon, you're seeing a lot of things click. Consumer has remained resilient. AWS is reaccelerating. The advertising business is growing apace, and the margins are going up. So I still think all those stocks can work, but I'm totally okay with and understand why they are taking a breather on a relative basis. And other things like banks that we touched on, they've been viewed as boring and a segment you could ignore for a long time. I think it makes sense that you're seeing a bit of a catch up in other areas.
One stock showing some strength. I just want to get your thoughts on Amazon here because it did break out. We had this Bezos wall at $200 where he just was relentlessly selling the stock. It's broken out. Bezos still had another filing last week where he was selling at 204, 205, 206. So he's still selling here a little bit, but the stock is still going higher. So impressive strength considering how big of a whale Bezos would be selling in there. It's up here again today. It's the one of if you're comparing the Apples and the Nvidias, the Amazon looks like it just wants to go higher here. What are your thoughts on Amazon?
I like it. The reasons I just mentioned a moment ago, fundamentally, consumer resilience, AWS reacceleration, advertising penetration, margins going in the right direction. There's a lot of reasons to like this stock. It's on our best ideas list. It is breaking out. Yes, Bezos has been selling stock, but he's still, highly, highly aligned with shareholders and owns a ton of stock. And once he, gets enough proceeds to buy his next large possession, I think, things will move along stock wise.
And then also, what about
too?
What were you saying, Joel?
Just his ex-wife is selling too. I saw
everybody. There's some major whales in there, but it's still going higher. When you have big people selling and the stock's still going higher, that's the definition of relative strength for me as well. Let's talk Google. Another stock that's starting to look a little bit more productive. It has lagged some of the Magnificent Seven. One of the few that are obviously not up at all-time highs here right now. We're still 10 points off where we were back in June. What are your thoughts on Google?
We like it, particularly medium term. I think when we look back in a few years, they will be viewed as having been a beneficiary of all the AI movements. But we like it a little bit less than Amazon and some of the others that we touched on earlier, and that I think it's a little more controversial and muddy at the moment, both because of the AI perceived risk on the consumer front in terms of search query volume, and then it being a bit more in the antitrust hairs than some of the others. Now, again, I think we will look back at some point and generative AI will prove to have been accretive to their business model. And hopefully we have a lighter touch regulatory regime post Lena Khan. But, if you made me pick one, it's easier to say I'd rather own Amazon than Google.
All right. And then Apple, everyone complains about, the valuation here. Uncle Warren has been dumping it very consistently here. What's going to be the next catalyst? We keep saying, what's the next catalyst? What's the next catalyst? And then it just kind of hangs out. I know the Apple suppliers have been taking a hit. They've been going down, but are they going to benefit from this AI boom, or what's going to be the next catalyst for Apple?
I think they're definitely going to benefit from this AI boom in the next few years. They are the easiest way for consumers to reach into this AI ecosystem through the App Store, which will be substantially AI enabled. So we like it quite a bit because of that reason alone. That said, you can make the argument that the valuation is at least a little bit elevated. And as you pointed out, there have been some prominent shareholders selling. So I would say for the stock to really work, we need to see those AI benefits come through in the numbers.
All right, let's move away from the AI or the Magnificent Seven and talk about some other stocks that you wanted to discuss today. This one I'm not super familiar with. Couchbase common stock. Tell me about this one. I do not know anything. I see it made a low in October. Now it's bumping up here against 20. Good day yesterday. Tell us what they do and why you like them.
It's a database as a service company. They've got a couple of new products that they're bringing to market. We've done some deep dive research in the user and partner community, and we're looking for less obvious ways to play this AI trend. And we touched on some of the obvious ones in the mega cap land that get most of the attention, but we do think throughout the software ecosystem, there are a number of smaller companies that are poised to benefit from this. Couchbase is one of them. And historically, they've had more of a checkered record of execution. But we think the setup is favorable for them to improve upon that. And as you can see, it's close to its lows. It's quite cheap. So we think if you get a combination of things going right for them, the risk reward is very attractive. It's the kind of stock that could double without heroic assumptions.
Kevin, what about Lending Club here? Lending Club, I think right now you did see a few analysts coming in with an upgrade. You had a price target raise at Compass Point a few days ago, as well as at Maxim. What are your thoughts here on Lending Club?
We like it. It's a company that we like structurally. As I mentioned, we're more favorable towards the bank group generally, in pockets of the emerging lending group, including Lending Club. We just had the management team with us marketing a month ago. Constructive results recently, and as you know, it's had a wide trading range in the last couple of years. I think it's one that could begin to work nicely again.
Okay, and then any other stocks, Kevin, that you've been covering recently, or that you think have made some notable moves that are worth watching right now?
Wingstop is one that we've talked about previously when I've been on. That it's generally been kind of a rocket ship up and to the right. It had a modest disappointment in the quarter that they reported a couple of weeks ago. The stock was down 20% in one day. We still think the intermediate growth story here is extremely compelling from a unit growth point of view and a returns point of view. And we just had the management team with us a week ago, kind of reaffirmed all of our viewpoints, and we really, really like the stock in the pullback here.
Just going back to the Lending Club a little bit. I mean, we just took a look at Rocket, Rocket companies and UWMC. Those stocks taking significant hits because of the longer term rates. Is that not figure into the equation here with Lending Club, or what's their business model?
So we think that in the case of Lending Club, that you're going to see improved credit buyer demand and gain on sale margins relatively, giving rates being off their highs. On the opposite side, in the case of Rocket, just very, very near term, with the uptick in mortgage rates sequentially from Q3 to Q4, that's going to hit any kind of origination or refinance volumes, and they are continuing to invest on the operating expense side. So you're seeing the earnings get dinged sequentially. It's a stock that we're neutral on in the case of Rocket. I do think it makes sense that it's selling off today, but that said, I'm not super negative on it either. I think the investments make sense, and if you do have the rate trajectory begin to glide down again, that they'd be positioned to see an improvement in volumes in the next couple of years. But it really is it's a very rate sensitive one, obviously.
Two quick ones, and then we'll let you go here. I know we had you on when this ARGX had some wild news, consolidating near its all-time high here. Another consolidation for Rip higher in that one, and then just throw in pins here. Got nailed off its
Sure.
earnings report, but climbing back.
So Argenx, the story is consistent. I still like it a lot. They've got a strong franchise in MG, myasthenia gravis. They've got emerging solutions for other indications. Our survey work has been constructive in those new indications. I think it's one of the best run mid-cap biotech companies, and also see it as a long-term takeout target. So like it a lot, consistent with what I've told you previously. Pinterest is interesting. So we've been neutral on that stock forever. And as you pointed out, it got dinged last Friday off the earnings, some marginal disappointment. And we just upgraded the stock on Monday morning.
Wow.
So there's a couple things. They've got some new products that they're working on that our survey data has been constructive on. So I'd say there's more work to do and wood to chop there, but we like the early signs that we're seeing. And secondly, the business all this calendar year, really in the last 12 months, has been hit by weakness in CPG, snacks, beverages, what have you. We think as you start to lap that going into next year, it's an important vertical for them. That will be a source of at least less downside pressure towards numbers. And it's one we've sort of been watching and getting intrigued on. And post the healthy pullback on Friday, we felt it was a good time to get in. And so we upgraded it Monday. We had a lot of robust dialogue around it with clients the last 2 days. So that's definitely on my buy list.
Buying the dip. That's Kevin Merritt, Managing Director of Equity Research over at Wedbush Securities. Kevin, always a pleasure having you on. Thanks for following up post-election, and I'm sure we'll be dialing you up again before year end. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
You're welcome. Thank you, Joel. Always a pleasure.
All right. Triple D been banging away on that keyboard.
Yeah, it's a
there.
busy morning. I mean, I'm in and out. I'm trying to position myself and getting executed here, executed there. When you see a ripper, where we go up 10, 15 handles, and then we fall it all back down. It's pretty good trading opportunity. So just positioning and trying to get out of stuff, obviously, that I have overnight here as well. Clear, this is going to be some separation here again today here. Like we've talked, mega cap tech kind of weak here this morning. I just want to cherry pick a few names here. Because we've got some serious imbalances in a couple of stocks. Shopify, 214,000 to sell. They did do a mixed shelf last night. I think that spooked the market a little bit here because the stock was straight up. When you do a mixed shelf, it just means you can do some type of offering. Could be debt, could be equity, could be anything. But when you file those mixed shelves, it means there could be some type of an offering looming. I'm not saying it's necessarily an equity offering, but if it was, obviously that'd be diluted. But I think the market's a little bit concerned about that, and why you're seeing a little bit of weakness in SHOP this morning with the 205,000 share sell imbalance. Square as well, it's been on a tear. It has been really unbelievable. Since the earnings report, we talked about a firm getting bought on their earnings dip. Square has been bought relentlessly, went down $69. I think it was down to 65 or 64 in the after-hour session on their earnings report, and it's been straight up for 3 days. They just can't stop buying it. It's a cool-off day for it this morning. Some institutions come in with a huge sell, 208,000 shares to sell on the opening right now. Indicate opening is actually 85.50. I'd expect that to come up a little bit higher, but that's why Square is trading down here as well. So just a couple stocks from a balance land that are showing some serious weakness.
All right, just real quick, breaking down the shop. I think what we've learned from this earnings season is when, if these stocks get a gap, then they just keep on going. So you do have the slight imbalance after yesterday's blowout volume session. So 106, 106 even. That was a low from yesterday. 108.92 is the close. So you got to respect that 106 level till it falls into the gap. And then, people that were looking for some follow through today, maybe a retest of yesterday's high, might be reevaluating and looking at 108.92. That was the closing high for the move.
Merck also. We should talk big pharma for a second here, because again, we talked the tale of two markets. There is no tale of two markets bigger than Lilly versus the rest of big pharma. We can put Bristol Myers in with the one, obviously, it's been moving up here now because of their schizophrenia drug here. But I mean, Merck, Pfizer, Amgen yesterday had a terrible day. I'm long Amgen's bouncing back here this morning because there was some leakage of some data that they didn't like. I don't think that was on the obesity. I think it was on one of their other drugs.
I think it was obesity.
Was it obesity? It was a leakage on the obesity drug. It was okay. I was so busy yesterday, I never had time to even read the whole thing. But I mean, Merck. Here's a darling of the market last year, stock going up, pretty much, at the beginning of this year, making new highs. It can't catch a bid. It's the same story that we're seeing in certain stocks that, like, if you're out of favor, you're just staying out of favor, like relentless sellers here. Merck's trading down to a valuation, probably it's been as cheap in a very long time. Hard to call a bottom on something like this. Just when they're out of favor, I just want to make the point, they just stay out of favor. You got another 194,000 share sell imbalance again here this morning. Stock isn't trading down too much here, but just the relentless sellers in certain names, Pfizer as well.
Yeah, and also you had the activists come in, Pfizer, that didn't really do much. The Merck, I do have this one. I just was hating it when it was consolidating here. For the longest time between 120 and 130. And then there was it must have been on a weekly or something, but I remember I put something at 115. Yeah, it was the monthly low or something at 115. And I thought, man, if that thing doesn't hold 115, a little bit of a trap door here. Now you're in double digits. But I just want to when was it when all these guys were raising their price target? This was maintained by now they're lowering price targets.
That's what they
There
do.
was a point where they were raising price targets in this thing hand over fist. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Oh yeah. So look at this. If you want to look at here, let me going back to January and February of this year is when you had, Wall Street raising all their estimates on the stock. That's where they are. And now they're lowering them.
This is what they do. We talk about this,
Oh.
analysts chase price, and some are great. Like we obviously some analysts, are contrarian, but there's a lot that just, follow what's happening with price. It's going down, I better lower my price, or it's going up, I better raise my price. But I mean, not all analysts are the same, but some definitely just chase. And I mean, they want to, they don't want to look bad, so they've got to obviously do some adjustments. So it's a tough job. I mean, it's a tough job to make stock calls, and people following your calls. And when you're wrong, you got to make adjustments.
All right, coming up on the open here about
a lot of earnings to cover. So I've got to go trade the open here. I'm going to stay on with you guys, though. I'm just going to put myself on mute as I position out of. I've got about 30 stocks to trade out of here on the open, so I need to start placing some orders. But there's a pile of earnings to go through. So AB and Joel going to take you through a bunch of earnings reports. We'll be back at you in the background.
All right. Where should we start? Let's go to SK or SWKS.
Okay.
Skyworks reported.
I see Christian.
earnings.
I see you in the background. You want to come on, or do you want to just pop on if you got something for us? I don't think he can hear us. Okay.
I can't respond. So.
Okay. All right.
There we go.
All right. What? Yeah. Triple D's hopping on. He's just gonna be in the background here. We're just gonna rip through some earnings reports. Apple Supplier giving us a report.
Yep, Skyworks reported an EPS of $1.55 that beat by 3 cents, revenue of $1.02 billion that came in line. You are seeing the stock trading lower this morning by more than 6% following that report. Despite the fact that the earnings came in line. So I wonder if guidance was a little bit lower than expected, but you did have analysts coming in and lowering price targets at Morgan Stanley, at JP Morgan, at Citibank. So The analysts obviously were not that impressed with this report. Stock again is down about 6% pre-market.
Just going back to what Dennis was just saying, the stock's been out of favor and just being ignored by the street. So there you go. You do have one monthly low at 80.08. You haven't quite hit that in the pre-market. You've hit 80 and a quarter. You're up and up. You're $1.70 away from that. Let's see if the bids thicken up a little bit. Long ways to go to get to the bottom of yesterday's range. That's 85.99. But look out. If this thing doesn't hold 80, your next monthly low, you need to go back all the way to December of 2022, where your next monthly low was 76.16. But stock out of favor and not delivering good earnings.
All right, which earnings stock do we want to go to next? Honestly, I lost my list after the StreamYard fiasco this morning, so I'm not sure which ones.
There's a couple questions about Rivian. There wasn't a story out with Rivian last night. Rivian, it's Volkswagen boosts bet on Rivian's EV tech by 800 million. So stock's getting a little, this is a stock that's that's in a downtrend. But I get there's some interest in it this morning. Any level that you're watching here? I'm kind of watching this 1190 level.
Yeah, 1163. Well, you did get a pop in the pre-market over 12 or in the pre-market you got over $12. Wow, you got all the way to 12.18. This 12 area is pesky. I think you might have missed your opportunity there. Don't see anything at 1190. 1184. First things first. That's only 20 cents away. But the real area to me is just over 12 to 12.18. That was two daily highs, the 23rd and the 24th. And then that also is right there with your pre-market high. I mean, you do get the immediate reactions on these things. You do get the pop up. I don't think I'd be chasing it up a stick here, up $1.14. But if you are, make sure you catch a sustained 12 bid there in Rivian.
All right, let's go to Flutter real quick, which is, of course, FanDuel's parent company, British company that owns a bunch of names in the gambling space. Flutter reported earnings. They reported 3.24 million versus the 2.5 Q3. Sorry, the numbers here are a little weird because they're okay. EPS of 43 cents, beat by 20 cents. The revenue again, 3.25 billion, beat by 240 million. Stock is trading higher by about $18, 7.3% this morning. You also have that the company announced it has entered into a non-discretionary arrangements with Goldman Sachs to repurchase ordinary shares. So a share buyback. You had price target raises at Oppenheimer, at JMP Securities here. So the analysts like this report. They like the buyback. Stock is up again about $17.50.
Blowing away its all-time high, which was 252.94. Got all the way to 275.12. You've leaked off $10, so that'd be, look for that as a potential target, and then see if it ever comes back down. Their first area of support will be the old all-time high, just under 253. Just want to take a look at DraftKings right here. DraftKings, nice level. That's trading up off this. Busted through a double top. It hasn't quite got to the double top yet. Big level there for DraftKings. That would be 43, 32, and 33. Those are the highs the last two sessions. And has Penn ever got off the mat? Yeah, Penn has gotten off the map a little bit. Big day yesterday. Well, I'm not sure what the news was on that, but Penn starting to come back. And then who else do we throw? Does anybody else we throw in that?
DraftKings.
Yep, I bet you the DraftKings that's got a double top to contend with at 43.33 and 43.32. I think they do have earnings coming up though.
Yep. All right. Just keeping it going through some more earnings stocks. SoundHound AI, which of course kind of became a retail darling there for a minute after an investment from Nvidia. SoundHound reported EPS a loss of 6 cents that beat the estimates by 1 cent. Sales at 25 million beat the estimate of 23 million. So you had slight beat there on EPS and sales, but the revenue came in slightly light here, and the market is not rewarding SoundHound for that report, down about 18% or $1.30 this morning.
Boy, I wish it would have been a little quicker on that one because that just busted through, opened and just went straight down. Never got yesterday's low. Cut through the 4-day low or the 3-day low in a heartbeat at 638. Next daily level comes in at 587. But SoundHound going down. I just wanted to check, go real quick here, go back to Shopify. Did have the sell imbalance, right? We talked about the 106 area, got a strong bounce off 106.18. Not sure where the opening print was on it, but there was a level of support we gave you. If you're out there at 106, well, nothing done because 106.18 is the low. Also, I mentioned a number on the upside, that mark from yesterday, that highest mark that you've had since since January of 22, 108.92, and then pick your poison up to 114.51. That was yesterday's high. So the buy or the sell imbalance scooped up at Shopify. Let's see what the case is for Merck. Merck, not so much, not really moving much yet. So there's a look at some of the imbalances Dennis talked about. As far as the S&Ps go here, that little dip that you had, still holding the close for right now. You got down right near that close area after the CPI number. That's 60.13 and a quarter is your third all-time closing high. Have traded a lot through it during the session, but that is going to keep the bulls in control until that level is breached, on at least on a 15-minute time frame.
Nice start to ONON, which got a nice upgrade this morning. That stock is up 5% and taking out yesterday's highs. That name reported earning yesterday.
Wow, they had a wild day yesterday, and now up 294. I mean, I don't know why it was so crazy yesterday. I'll just alert our traders and investors that the all-time high made shortly after its IPO was 55.87. You're right there right now as you've pierced into the 56 handle, 56.20. So what you need for a continued move here, someone just saying, hey, this is a breakout. I'm going bid hard at 56. Right now, just kind of waffling right at the $56 area. S&P still just kind of moseying their way up here. That current high in the pre-market session comes in at 60.30 and a quarter. Where'd AB go? We lost AB. AB. Someone stole AB from us here.
I'm still trying to trade, but you guys are quiet there for a second, so I'll try to come
Yeah,
in there.
it's AB.
Christian's
Just,
here. I've
someone
got like a
stole AB.
bazillion trades here on, but we'll try to
Go,
talk and
go.
trade. Okay, I don't know where AB. AB's gone, so he snuck away.
Yeah,
Christian.
AB absolutely disappeared.
Christian's
So
busy on the open too. We got two
I'm busy
traders
too,
that are trying
sorry.
to trade the open.
go,
This
go,
is
go,
what a
go.
live show is all about. You guys are used to at 9 o'clock when it's not busy. But I tell you, man, when you're trying to do a show and trade at the same time, it gets really interesting in a hurry. So we're hoping
That's
AB
right.
and
You know what?
carry us
You
here
guys
through.
settle down here. My orders are still a little ways away. Why don't we just do rapid fire ticker time here? And
That's what you got to do.
I'm not going to scroll up through the chart here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to see first stock that comes in. The next stock, EKS was looking at PayPal. Let's take a look at PayPal. Oh, nice consolidating here. I mean, the only level that you have is that high from yesterday at 87.92. Actually, you got three highs right in this area, not holding a bid. Potential triple top. I hate when I say that, I know. But looks like you're stalling here a little bit. Looks like a big seller in the 87 handle, still up 64 cents. We'll be looking at support at 86.40. That was the close. Let's look at SQ. SQ continuing to just jog higher. So if you're using that as your indicator, there you go. What a move at SQ60. You have to go all the way to the monthlies here to find your next level. Your next level comes in at 93.19. Basis the monthlies. That was your August 22 high. Of course, this is also a Bitcoin stock. So, all right. So I look away, and what else here? We got
Rocket Labs is going for the highs of the pre-market session there, right around $20, which would be a good psychological level to watch for that stock. For again, momentum stuff, momentum.
Yeah, well, it did. It did get back up there. And that is the pre-market high was 20.46. And if you're looking for more on that one, 21.34. That stands as your all-time high. Let's see. Sam says, take a look at Micron. I saw Micron got absolutely smoked yesterday. Really a bad 2 days in Micron. Look like you're finding some support here. Pretty consistent buyers in the 102 handle. Two lows from the last two sessions, just above 102, and then another sneaky one at 101.79. Boom, there we go. So there's your support. Way off yesterday's high, but looks like you're having a quiet day here, Micron. S&P's not really holding the rally here. We came up 12 handles short of that pre-market high. Now we're looking red here. So consistent sellers, we're losing the close here. Looks like we got a battle going on here at 60.13. So
the meme trade here taking off again here too. So we talk about opposite. Tesla's up 13 points here now, but don't look now. GME catching a little bit of a bid here this morning too, was trading down all morning, has now moved to the green. We know it's been meme versus mega cap tech, but mega cap tech's a mess besides Tesla. Apple's now down $1, Microsoft's down 3, Meta's down another 7, Google's down another 2. We've been talking about Amazon resilience, and it's holding up fairly well. But the other 4, I've been showing a lot of relative weakness here lately. NVIDIA, too, has turned now to the red as well. So the reason the S&Ps are leaking, mega cap tech holding it down, but a lot of separation here. Banks are very strong. You're looking, a lot of cyclical names are holding up pretty well here today. IWM, small caps, holding up very well here. So clear separation happening here this morning. Square.
Sorry.
No, go.
This is a good proxy for you too. Just as you're mentioning, the Ark ETF, ARKK, is up. That's one of your leaders for the day. That's up 2%.
Yeah, same thing. They're moving into those retail darling names, and the trade continues. So, yesterday's dip. Tesla hit 322 yesterday, last night, in the after-hour session. 342 now. Quickly bought back 20 points here in just, the overnight session, really, because we only traded 9 minutes intraday here. The separation here is absolutely incredible. The Trump trade is back on.
Yep, let's see what happens. You got a high of 44.60 in the current session, and 45.34 was your high from yesterday. So you do after that nice move up to 358. I'm not going to include the Robinhood session. You have someone working out of a piece at 345. Also, it hit 324. That was about a 34-point move. So you add 17 to that, and that takes you to the 340 area. It's getting halfway back, but keep an eye on this 345 area in Tesla if you're looking for it to go back to that recent high. The recent high of the move, 358.94. And your best mark for Tesla so far has been 350. That came on Monday. Someone's asking about Intel here, INTC. Boom.
Bouncing a little bit back. I'd still put in the Trump category here. So this is an interesting dip on Intel, where you obviously had the big run up after the Trump win. You can see clearly stock going up. Last couple of days cooling off. I like it here at 23. I'm long in the long-term account, but I don't mind it for a trade here either. I'd lean on 23.89, yesterday's low, 24.02, the low this morning. If you do see this Trump trade start to catch on here a bit, Intel could be a sneaky little Trump stock.
Yep, 3 lows in the same area, protecting that gap area. So there's your support. Moving up here in the green. Got a ways to go. I just don't like the two the triple top at 2640 is major, but important for this today to make a higher high. That's 2450 is your current high. 2496. That's yesterday's high. In Intel, someone's mentioned AB's Lululemon. How's
Woo!
you?
There you go. AB's back.
Lulu,
Wow.
baby.
It's
Getting off the
turning
mat here.
around. It's a story that had the potential to start getting, hot again. And it came down to a valuation that we've never seen on Lululemon. I believe it was down to 16 times earnings at the trough. And Lulu's typically traded 30, 40 times earnings. So the growth play turned value play, but now the Momo traders are getting back in, and the value guys are like, oh crap, maybe I missed it here. So they're chasing it up here a little bit too. So you don't have a lot of times where the value and the growth people are up both on the same side. But I think in Lululemon they are. I think you still buy or dips here on Lululemon. I think the bottom is in, obviously. Hindsight 2020. Looks like the bottom's in. It's 100 points off the low. Nice trade, AB.
Rivian's running here. The next area of resistance I see for Rivian is up about 13.14, but that has taken out the pre-market highs as well.
Rivian with Volkswagen was the headline here. I don't have it in front of me right now. If I can go find it, maybe AB can find in the background here too.
Joint venture launched with Volkswagen for a total deal size worth up to $5.8 billion. So
yeah,
great news here. If you're long Rivian, coming up to about trying to get up to $13 here, $12.75, up more than 20% this morning on that news with Volkswagen.
I was wondering if it was going to fade. I tried to play it short at 1150, and then the fade was immediately bought. I covered 1170. Like, this is the way, we talk about trading. It's all about taking shots and saying, well, this could be a headline that could fade. It's faded in the past, but as soon as it starts getting bid off the open and looking relentlessly higher, you got to cover it. You take your loss. So you get your 20-cent loss, you move on. This is what so many traders, so many do wrong. They're like, oh, I'm making a call here. And then it starts getting away from them. Don't let it get away from you. Make a call on something like that. When you're playing an opening fade, you need immediate gratification. What do I mean by that? The trade has got to go your way right off the open, because that's what an opening fade is. I was wrong. I didn't talk about this in the show, but I was just trying it. Thought it might fade in. Didn't. Cover. Lose 20 cents. Move on. That's what it is about taking shots. Maybe your other opening fade trade might work. But, that's what trading is all about. And the stock obviously has probably been wanting for a long time. That 10 support. We've talked about the 10 support, Joe, from a swing trading perspective forever. Breached it. The Gil Morales undercut and rally. Hi, Gil. 950 to 971, on what was it, November the 6th. And we've been straight up ever since. And now you get a headline here that's driving. You have a retail stock that was in the gutter, but now all of a sudden it's got a driver here. And we know when retail grabs a hold of something, they can't stop themselves. RKLB, for instance, here this morning too. It's up 38% here now. I screwed this one. I'm selling at 13.5 last week. Oops, 20.5.
All right, I took a position here. This is a ready super momentum name. Are you ready for
Yeah.
All right, so this is quantum computing, IONQ. Again, this is just a trade. This is not going to be like a long-term trade, but it's taking out, I was watching this name yesterday. This is taking out the highs from this week. Again, it just kind of shows you what this market doesn't really care too much about the FANG stuff. It cares about this momentum stuff, and IONQ is taking out the highs from this week. So how would I trade? How am I looking to trade this? Basically, I've got a stop right now of $23, but really what I want to see it clear is the highs from this week, which it's trying to do right here. Yeah, and it's 25.20 would really be if you're super disciplined, that would be the level to trade against for now. So I'll bring up that stop because I didn't know how it was going to go, and I'll probably bring up my stop to about $24 for now. But could be just basically a day trade, and maybe leave a small piece on because this is the stuff that's got momentum, and yes, it's really overbought on the daily chart, but just kind of watching the smaller time frames on this stuff.
Did you see what I did, Christian, on the daily?
I
Did you
did
look at-
not. What'd you do?
It's
Look
a
on the
CF
daily.
chart. He
CF
likes it going from the he likes it going from the lower left to the upper right. That's
It
a
is what
Christian
it is.
chart
Like
right there.
this is the stuff that's running. You know, I mean, like, so I'm just trying to adapt to like what the market's giving me, which is this crazy stuff that is breaking out and consolidates for 2 days and then starts to run back higher.
Why are you leaning? What you said your stop? It's 20 around the 25-20 area. That's under. That's nicely
And he
under.
said 23.20, Joel.
Oh, 23.20.
Didn't you say 20?
I said 23, and then now that it's running, I'm going to leave my stop probably around 24.
Moving it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that's
okay.
not a bad play too. I mean, when you get in something trailing those stocks up, I mean, this is swing trading 101. What Christian's doing here, finding a stock with momentum, watching it, like, and obviously we're in a momentum market here right now. Pockets of momentum again. Lots of stocks showing a lot of weakness here as well. And I mean, we always try to, and the market always tries to. What's that, Joel?
Mixed market here. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just yeah. I mean, look at that. Look at the Goog.
I got half the names down. Like I'm just looking at different S&P names, and the half are up, half are down, which is why the S&P is flat. I mean, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, all trading down here. Micron, Applied Materials, Qualcomm, Nvidia is actually trying to hold green. AMD. Then you got even old school tech a little bit. Cisco, Hewlett Packard, Oracle, IBM, all trading down. Oil, all trading down if you're just going different sectors. And then you've got certain pockets. Banks are strong. Like to Christian's point, the ARKK names are relentlessly strong. Probably Tesla. Tesla leading the charge here. Pun kind of intended. Bitcoin was down last night. We should talk crypto just quickly here. Christian's thoughts as well, because Bitcoin was down last night and it has turned and went green as well. And I've noticed this correlation. Bitcoin and Tesla are linked at the hip right now. Last night, Bitcoin started going down and Tesla followed suit. And then Bitcoin turned it kind of around overnight and Tesla's going as well. So if you're trading things together, Bitcoin and Tesla, obviously the Trump trade going together right now. And the XLF overall moving with crypto.
Yeah, they can't keep it down, this Bitcoin, right? I mean, it was down this morning, and you kind of think, oh, geez, is this a time for the pause? And that's just a great, like, if you're doing what I'm doing and trying to trade a little bit of these momentum names, keep an eye on Bitcoin, because I kind of think if Bitcoin continues to run like this, like it kind of talks me into playing some of this stuff that has just the crazy movements for now.
GME has went green. AMC, I went long. I bought some call options actually on AMC just yesterday, just because I'm like, it's starting to perk up here again. I mean, if you look at AMC on a chart, it's looking like it's perking up, and we're seeing this, meme trade catch. GME, AMC is not really win here yet. So I wonder, if AMC doesn't start getting some love here too. Just, short-term trade. I just went out. I rarely buy calls. But I went out a week and a half on this. Just taking a shot.
Dead,
yeah, I mean that's a time sometimes to buy things though when they've been dead and they've been quiet and they start to perk up.
Right,
and AMC is starting to perk up.
I got a new meme name for you, and it
what
kind of I got it, and it fits today's theme. Take a look at the chart of.
We're fading here. We're fading hard here. We're losing on change.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Joel gets S&P centric. It's Christian.
SPCE, Virgin Galactic Holdings. If you can, Joel, bring up a chart.
Man.
The daily chart.
Man, we dropped the ball on this with all the rocket labs.
You didn't miss anything yet. Look at the base forming and breaking the base. If you zoom in on that daily chart,
Christian, now what are you about your 50-day average thing? I mean, it must be coming down, right? Because it's been hanging out here for so long.
Yeah, and like all I would be looking for, is the base breakout. Notice that, and again, this is highly speculative stuff, but from basically June, July, August, it's been going sideways. So it's trying to break that base. So that's what I would find. That's what I find interesting.
This is moving off Rocket Labs. I mean, Rocket Labs started to go up here, and I wish I would have thought of this pre-market here because it opened up 30 cents and now up 14%. I didn't even think it's not a stock that I think about a lot space anymore. But I mean, you're at this point where one, it fits the meme description. Two, it's like rocket ship day. Rocket Labs has made this rocket ship day. You got Lunar, which is blasting off as well. I'm long that. ASTS is another one up 10%. Why not bring space up too? So SPCE, it just fits the bill. Now, again, I hate chasing stocks up 15%. Wish I would have caught this one, at the open, when open at 734. Probably trading the pre-market, was probably barely up. Didn't think of it. What else you got? Keep giving us names here, Christian. I like the little memester names here. I mean, and again, these trades are always like hot potatoes because, a stock like Space, probably not a lot of fundamentals to support price, but they can get hot for a few days. Like even, when I'm saying AMC, I'm not saying, I think the company's fundamentally turning around here. I'm just saying the meme trade's hot right now. And AMC at one point in time was the leader, the apes, it was kind of the leader. So you get these pockets, where all of a sudden these stocks start to put up. What about a FUBO? FUBO? It was one before too. It isn't moving here yet. It's only at $1.57. I have no position in it, but it's starting to perk up a little bit here too. If we're going to start going, full meme here, and I'm not saying we are, but there's a possibility that the memesters, are trying, and GameStop's fading a little bit, but the memesters are perking up a little bit. Maybe we got to go look at that old list again of all those meme stocks from 2021 and see what's moving.
Dennis, keep an eye on in Tesla here, 341. Just a soft number here because you had the break. I know you're not selling, you're never selling, but
I may sell one day.
Okay. You had that move from 58.64 down to 23.31 yesterday, and it just a real quick snapback. Half of the move is at 341.
Great call.
And you got a double top there at the 345. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how the day plays out, but there's definitely some stocks for sale there. In the 340 handle. Just people maybe rigging the register after that dip yesterday. Now we're dipping under 338 here, so keep an eye on that. S&P's lost the close, missed the signal at the end of the first 15 minutes. We closed right at the high of the going to the S&P here. You made a high at 1975 at 945, and you had a closing print on that bracket at 19.25, and then you are just completely, not completely falling apart here, but boom, buyers are losing the edge here, making that closing price a little bit more important. We did dip under 5,600 in the pre-market. Pre-market low comes in at 59.93.
7 minutes here. Give us your tickers. If you've got even some smaller names that you want us to cover here, we can cover them right now. They're interesting. Talking solar stocks, somebody's asking about the TAN. Seeing a little bounce in some of the solar names, just a couple of them. First Solar barely trading green. ENPH up a little bit here. But again, you look at like a stock like ENPH, and this is purely on the Trump trade. It cannot catch a bid. It's down 5 days in a row since Trump got elected here. I mean, we closed at $84.64, and then that night Trump got elected, and we've been down 5 straight days down to 60. This is purely an anti-Trump stock.
Wow. Let's look at SEDG as well.
Similar story.
Oh, that's kind of holding in there.
12. $389 all-time high. It's $12. It's a little seller exhaustion here, but they're still trying to sell. These stocks have just been an epic disaster. Chat is throwing a lot of tickers at us here now. Let's
Oklo.
go.
Oklo's up on some data center contracts, I believe. Oklo trading up about 6%, was higher than that this morning. So company announced it secured a partnership for up to 750 MW of low carbon power for U.S. data centers and advanced its total clean energy pipeline to 2,100 megawatts. So Oklo, the Sam Altman backed former SPAC, getting a nice little bounce here again. It was up. I believe up.
It was up a lot higher. It opened,
Yeah.
and Dennis, going back to just the importance of opens, and that's something that we hope to stress more on the show. But look at that open. You had an area to look at, 25.78, right? That was your high on Monday. Opened up 25.46. You only went another 20 cents, and then look at the reversal you got here. So. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's having a good day. It's up $1.20. But man, that pop got met with strong sellers there, and now leaning on the lows of the session.
Yeah.
Low 23.37. Let's see if you can find a bid above the close at 22.59.
I'm with Joel here. I don't like, that it opened right at the high tick and it's been fading. And you got a lot of highs, even from a few days ago up over that 25, 26, 27. So you're starting to struggle with a little bit of an overhead supply issue here. And that's a problem with the stock that's went from $10 to $25, basically in a straight line. We're talking in 1 month. It may be time for a pause here in Oklo. I don't like fading on good news. When they start selling stocks on good news, it's usually time to ring the register.
Yep. What else do we got? I got a bunch.
I mean, the overall market is so mixed here right now. It's hard to tell if it's a good day or a bad day. It all depends on which stocks you're in. I'm feeling pretty good because Tesla and some of my stocks are having a pretty good day. But at the same time, there's a lot of stocks really, really weak here today. It's a very interesting day.
Case in point, Bitcoin is making a high right now for the day, and so is the dollar. These things aren't normally supposed to kind of so
Bitcoin's the anti-dollar.
Yeah, the dollar is ratcheting up here, and so is Bitcoin. So yeah, it's scratch your head on that one a little bit.
This is
right,
this is a
throw
weird
some other
market.
tickers at me here. Tesla's fading hard now. Under
overall market is starting to fade here a little bit. To Joel's point just a few minutes ago when I cut him off and called him S&P centric, we are still fading here a little bit here. Snow, they want snowflakes. Snow's getting a pop. Snow has been an epic disaster, but in the last couple of weeks, these types of names are coming back to life. These, low profit, former high growth names are what is coming back into favor. So give us some more that haven't gone. Snow finally goes today and starts to move here. But there's other names out there that fit that description. That's what's really kind of moving here right now is the Kathy type stock. This is Kathy's market. We've been, Kathy has been waiting for Kathy's market for a long time here. Her stock performance is ARKK. You'd say, oh, wow, it's been great. It's because of Tesla, but now other stocks in there are starting to perk up for her. Like Palantir has been just fabulous for her. But right now, Kathy Wood is hot.
You know what, Dennis? Why don't you reach out to her? See if you can get her
I've said so many negative things about Kathy over the years. I'm starting to say positive. I like her again. Because the thing's starting to come around. You want to try to get Kathy?
Can you televise the conversation?
I don't know. She never come on with me.
Can you televise the conversation when you call her? Because I'd like to hear that.
She's like, are you the same person that always was like trashing my strategies and saying growth at any cost doesn't work? And she's like, well, what do you think of these apples, Dennis? My ETF is up 20% here in the last week and a half. That's how the conversation would go. And I'd say, Kathy, you're hot again. Let's get you on the show. We forgive and we get on the board with other people. But right now, that's the kind of stocks that are moving. It's not the value names. It's the Kathy type names.
Look at old Teladocs rising from the ashes here.
Sponsored by Ark.
Hey, the financials got a little bid to them. I'm long Morgan Stanley. That just is trying to take out the week's highs, and XLF does not look bad either.
Okay, 9:59. Another exciting 2-hour show here of PreMarket Prep, brought to you by PreMarket Prep. Just a preview for tomorrow. A preview. Sean Emery. I got to dial up Sean Emery. We've had him on over the years. We got him on the schedule, and I know everyone's going to love our 9 o'clock guest, back-to-back Wedbush guest at 9 o'clock. None other than Michael Pachter will be joining us. He'll be talking about this stock, man. I know BK Tokyo or BZ Tokyo has been in the chat. He's been following this one. So we'll get an update, and it's always a great conversation with Michael Pachter, Wedbush Securities. Big thanks to AB, Christian. This is it for you for the week. So we'll be, you're going to get a couple days off. You deserve it after working with us for a little over a week. And
have a great week, guys.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Christian. All right. Thanks for joining us here on PreMarket Prep.